Hi, so today, guys, we're gonna talk about boxing. The sport of boxing, as we know and love today, is followed by millions all over the world. It is one of the most popular combat sports in modern times. Within the space of four ring posts on a stretched canvas, countless tales of bravery and courage have been told. It is also known as the sweet science, a martial art discipline that compromises of punching combinations, upper body movement, defense, and fluid footwork. Some says that it is the purest test of a man's physical ability. To start, let us all know what is boxing. Boxing is a sport of fighting with fists, also called pugilism, literally fist fight. For centuries, people used their fists to resolve disputes and conflicts. Let us all now know the history of boxing and how it became what it is today. The first dated evidence of the founding of boxing is the year 4000 BC. There are hieroglyphic scriptures that reveal the popularity of this sport throughout the Nile Plateau, Egypt, and Ethiopia. Next is the year 1500 BC on the Crete island of Greece. During this time, boxing barely resembles the sport we admire today. All fights were carried out on open plots where the spectators formed a living arena. The fight normally lasted until one of the opponents was seriously injured. Although the first boxers primarily fought for glory, the winner was also granted a gold, livestock, or other trophies. To protect wrists and hands, the fighters braided their fists and sometimes two-thirds of their forearms with thin, soft leather straps. The straps were made of harder leather and were used not just as an arm protection gadget, but turned the fist into kind of assault weapon. Later, in the Roman Empire, the leather straps were armored with special copper and iron brackets used in gladiator fights, which usually ended with the death of one of the fighters. However, the Roman Empire collapsed, and so is the interest on the sport of boxing. Boxing later resurfaced on the early 16th century in England when one of the sport's variation called bare knuckle boxing was born. Here, competitors were referred to as prize fighters because boxers usually competed for trinkets or prize money. As boxing was gaining popularity in England in 1719, boxer James Figg won the title First English Bare Knuckle Boxing Champion, and thus the term boxing was coined. In the year 1743, Jacques Breton, an apprentice of James Figg, introduced boxing's first ever rule set and also invented mufflers, or known nowadays as boxing gloves. Therefore, Jacques Breton was recognized as the father of boxing. As London gradually became the center for provincial boxing champions seeking fame, glory, and money, conflicts to the rules not having weight classifications and being unfair to players came to life. And thus, in 1867, Marquess John Coltso Douglas developed the rules called Queensberry. The rules specify that matches should be fair and standing up in a square ring usually 24 feet across. Bouts consisted of 3 minute rounds with 1 minute rest between rounds. Each boxer is given the 10 count in case of knockdown. Any form of grappling or wrestling was completely forbidden. The introduction of boxing gloves also changed the sport entirely and made bouts safer. Gloves were commonly practiced for use in blocking punches. Because of the introduction of boxing gloves, bouts became longer in duration and strategy came into play. Defensive techniques such as bobbing and weaving and counter-punching emerged. In the year 1946, Association Internationale de Boxe Amateur, or AIBA, was established in London and controlled all amateur competitions. In 1950, the Soviet Union joined AIBA and took part in the Olympic Games in 1952. Countries such as East Germany, Poland, Hungary, and Cuba joined. And due to the high level of professionalism of Soviet sportsmen, a Cuban totally dominated the field of boxing, namely Teofilius Stevenson, who won Olympic gold in 1972, 1976, and 1980. Due to the evident effectiveness of professionalism in boxing, in the early years of 19th century, the idea of manager, promoters, and trainers was introduced in the boxing world. The most prominent name was George Tex Rickard. He was the one who arranged the fight between Joe Gans and Oscar Battling Nelson, and was also the one who suggested the idea of broadcasting boxing matches that increased boxing audience and the number of fans. During the late 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, the growing boxing popularity inspired the boxers' weight groups classification formulation. The fact that the boxer who weighed more had an advantage over the less weighed opponent served as a basis for that classification. The weight classification was developed both in the USA and the UK. 18 weight groups were signed out below. The following are flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight, junior lightweight, junior welterweight, cruiserweight, super middleweight, super welterweight, super bantamweight, super flyweight, light flyweight, and strawweight. And thus, the concept of modern professional boxing was born. The next thing that we are going to talk about is the venue of the sport boxing. So, the question is, where is this sport held at? And the answer is simple, in a ring of course. May it be indoor or outdoor, boxing is a sport that is held on a boxing ring. To start, the term ring comes from the origins of boxing when there used to be a circle drawn out on the ground to mark the bounds of the contest. Today, the ring sometimes is called the squared circle. It's a raised platform where boxers compete. In the common professional fight, the boxing ring is a square shape raised 3 to 4 feet above ground level, enclosed by 4 posts connected by turnbuckles attached to ropes. The ring's flooring is consisted of a raised platform constructed from wood and metal, topped with padding, and finally covered with stretched canvas. For specification, the next thing that we're going to talk about are the area, ropes, and corners that composes a boxing ring. The first one is the area. The area of a ring is typically between 18 and 20 feet between the ropes. This discrepancy comes from the multiple existing boxing organizations, all of which having different rules regarding ring constructions. All of the organizations, however, have an additional 2 feet between the ropes and the edge of the platform. However, you may see that in some training centers, the dimension of boxing rings can be decreased. This is used to force boxers to be prepared for more combat and is especially useful in training for endurance. The next thing is the rope. In all rings, 4 ropes enclose the area. These ropes are connected to the corner post via turnbuckle and are placed at incremental heights starting at 18 inches from the top of the platform with a 12-inch spacing between. This means ropes are placed at 18 plus 12 30 plus 12 42 plus 12 is 54. Each rope is approximately 1 inch in diameter. Next are the ring corners. The fighter's corners is depicted by red and blue posts are the corners that boxers are to enter and exit from the ring. This is also where a boxer will rest between rounds. And the next is the neutral corners, depicted by black posts Neutral corners are used in the events that one boxer is knocked down, receives standing 8 count or is knocked out. When a referee breaks the fighters up, he will instruct the non-afflicted boxer to stand in a neutral corner. This allows the stunned boxer to attempt a recovery without interference from the opponent, and it also prevents the scoring boxer from receiving in-depth coaching mid-round.
Now, we will be talking about the tools and equipments used in boxing combat as well as their intensive training. But before we will dive into our first topic, I would want to share the source of this whole information, www.rookieroad.com. So, boxing combat has intended tools and equipments for fighting, training, sparring, and accessories. And we will talk about accessories first. Boxing, believe it or not, does have some accessorization to it. Though the standard boxing outfit doesn't change much, an individual boxer will stylize colors and outfits to reflect things they enjoy or statements they want to make. For example, a boxer from Philippines may wear an outfit with the colors of the Philippine flag. On much more extreme examples, some professional boxers have been known to wear Spartan helmets, executioner masks, and even lions' heads for their walkout. Now, the following is a list of much more typical accessories. First is fight trunks. It is used by boxers both in practice and boxing matches. In addition to being a piece of equipment necessary to box, trunks are also a fashion statement. Boxers try to make their personalities known by having words, symbols, or patterns embroidered to their shorts and use specific colors that say something about them. For example, boxing legend Floyd Mayweather, who is known for his wealth, fancy cars, glitzing jewelry, used to wear trunks with gold tassels and embroidery. Boxers also have logos for their sponsors patched to their trunks. For famous fights of Manny Pacquiao, the sponsors' names and logos are visible in his trunks. Second is the grease or petroleum jelly. It is funny to think that something as small as grease or petroleum jelly can make such a big difference in boxing. Jelly, grease, or ointment are applied on the boxer's face before the boxing match begins, and in between rounds as well. The jelly or grease makes the boxer's skin very slippery and thus the impact of punches are minimized. In a match, the cutman will be responsible for spreading the substance when needed. It is quite easy and cheap to purchase either grease or petroleum jelly as it has many other day-to-day uses and can be found in most drugstores. Third is show tassels. A tassel is another piece of equipment added by boxers to let their personalities out during a fight while also making their gear fashionable. Colorful tassels are attached to the boxing shoes, and as the boxer moves during the fight, the tassels jump up and down. The idea of adding these to boxing shoes came from Muhammad Ali, who 24 hours before a fight told the company that he made his shoes that he wanted something extra and special for the next day's match. Now let's move on to fight gear. Fight gear doesn't vary much from sparring gear other than removing some of the protections. While the groin protector and petroleum remain, no organizations allow body protectors for bouts and only non-professional settings, example amateur and Olympic boxing, require headgear. Another notable difference in fight equipment is that some boxers ditch their reusable cotton hand wraps in favor of medical tape or gauze. The following is a full list of fight gear. First is boxing gloves. Gloves are a crucial part of boxing, so it is very important to choose the right size and model as they will be worn in every practice and in every match. Boxing glove sizes are measured in weight, so boxers have to choose between 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, or 20-ounce gloves. Your choice of glove weight will vary depending on your skill, level, and body weight. While heavier gloves will offer more padding, they will also make punches slower. Your gloves must make you feel comfortable above all. Second is mouth guards. These are essential protective equipment in boxing. Mouth guards are mandatory in boxing, and spitting it out on purpose during a match can result in the loss of some points to the boxer who did it. Mouth guards are made of rubbery material, and they have to be comfortable, and the boxer must feel safe when using them. Mouth guards vary in price depending on material, double or single protection, size, and brand, but you shouldn't find it hard to buy a really good mouth guard for $20 or less. Third is boxing ring robe. It is pretty common to see boxers wearing robes before their match begins. Boxers will do their preparation for a fight in a separate room in the venue where the match is taking place while they wait for their turn to fight. A robe can keep the boxers warm between the warm up space and the ring. Boxers don't necessarily wear robes, they sometimes choose to wear simple shirts, hoodies, or even elaborate costumes in an important fight. Next is boxing shoes. Footwork is a major part of boxing, so having the right boxing shoes is crucial for a boxer to perform at their best. No matter what level you are boxing, you need proper boxing shoes. The right pair of shoes in boxing will provide you with ankle support while also being light enough that they don't compromise your agility. Next are wraps or goes. Underneath their boxing gloves, boxers always have their hands tightly wrapped around the wrist, the palm, and the thumb, making it safer to punch and thus allowing for more power when doing so. To wrap their hands, boxers either use gauze and tape or boxing wraps. Wrapping always comes down to boxer preference. Each boxer has their own way of wrapping their hands, either with cloth wraps or using tape or gauze. It is also essential that you know how to wrap your hands for minimal damage and maximum power. Now let's talk about their intensive training. A lot of people may be wondering, how do boxers really train for a fight? And according to the article released by blog.jointfightcamp.com, boxers train approximately 5 hours a day when they are getting ready for a fight. There are many ways that you can train, but you have to incorporate different exercises and methods in order to get into the best shape. These include running and hit or intensity interval training, meat work and sparring, strength and conditioning, and boxing drills. First, let's tackle the running and hit. To be able to go the distance, a boxer needs to have stamina. Running or road work with high intensity interval training is a common form of cardio training that boxers use to get in shape. Road work isn't just your normal jogging at a steady pace for 5 miles. It's common for a boxer to sprint as hard as they can for a short amount of time or intervals of this or distance. This type of cardio training helps a boxer with conditioning, endurance, and speed. A lot of boxers will incorporate 2 to 3 interval training workouts each week. Since boxing is about short bursts of powerful movements, high intensity interval training workouts are a great way to train. As you get stronger, you can decrease your rest periods by 10 to 15 seconds. An example of training workout regimen would be 1 mile warm-up jog, 600-meter sprints at about 75% of your top speed with 1 minute rest between each, and 0.5 mile easy cool-down jog. Second is meat work or sparring. This is another exercise that boxers use to train. These exercises are more realistic to an actual fight than bag boxing drills because they can help boxers improve several skills they need in the ring, such as power, speed, technique, offensive and defensive skills, fighting strategy, and footwork. Then, the strength and conditioning. Strength and conditioning is another exercise boxers use to train. Boxers lift weights and perform bodyweight exercises for strength training. Great examples of strength and conditioning bodyweight exercises that boxers do are pull-ups and chin-ups, push-ups, jump ropes, sprints, crunches, planks, and leg lifts. The last is the boxing drills. Boxers also train for a fight by practicing boxing drills for speed, condition, footwork, stance, and power. These drills help improve a boxer's technique to get them into a fighting shape fast. When you're practicing and throwing punches, be sure to move your feet, reset, and block in between your punches, and most importantly, keep your intensity up. Shadow boxing is also a great training experience, but only if you mimic a real fight, staying quick and aggressive. Now, let's talk about training equipments. In training, boxers work to hone their punch precision, increase speed and stamina, and find punch rhythms. A number of different pieces of equipment have been developed and used for decades to help with these skills, as well as other fundamentals like punch form and footwork. So, the following is a list of common equipment that you can expect to see in almost any boxing gyms. First is the bell or timer. They can be quite useful in boxing gym not only during sparring but also during drills. So having something measuring time or the timer and something to signal after a period of time is reached or the bell allows trainers and athletes to do interval training. Boxing timers can be analogs, timers that mechanically count down time, digital standalones, which can be hung on the wall and can be programmed, or even a small wearable device which athletes or coaches can carry on their wrists. Second, a double end bag. A double end bag helps boxers improve their rhythm, accuracy, and timing. The equipment consists of a small punching bag that hangs to the boxer's height and is attached to both floor and ceiling by elastic cords. That way, the bag moves around as the boxer punches it. Third, heavy bag. A heavy bag in boxing is the traditional punching bag, that the one that hangs from the ceiling, long, wide, and heavy, and where boxers practice their sequence of powerful punches. By punching the heavy bag, boxers practice not only power of their punches, they also get a great aerobic exercise and increase their muscle mass. Fourth is the jump rope. Jump rope is a huge part of boxing training. Most boxers do it on a daily basis in their practice sessions. Jumping rope helps improve key physical skills to the sport, such as footwork, quickness, speed, and endurance. Being such a big part of training, it is recommended that boxers have their own jump ropes, best fitted to their size and preferences. Boxing jump ropes are made of light and flexible materials such as PVC plastic, which allow for power and speed when jumping. Next are boxing pads. In boxing, pads are a type of glove used by coaches. Coaches wear pads and boxers have to punch the pads. Training with pads provides a more real situation than just using punching bags. During training, besides punching the coach's padded hands, boxers will also have to dodge to avoid being hit by the coach, simulating a proper match. The pads are usually made of leather or similar material, as the name indicates, have a lot of padding. Next are parachutes. But no, boxers do not skydive during their training. The parachutes used in boxing are instead attached to the boxer's waist and offer resistance when the boxer runs. That way, the boxer builds strength and resistance which come handy inside the ring. This training is used by athletes of many other sports as well. Next is speed bag. It is one of the most traditional pieces of equipment when it comes to boxing training. It is a small, relatively light punching bag that hangs at the boxer's face height. The bag is attached to a wooden platform by a small anchor which is attached to the wall. Because it is very light, the bag moves around fast when the boxer punches it. The movement is limited by the short anchor. Using the speed bag improves the anchor's hand-eye coordination, punching speed, and hand position, as well as defensive posture. Speed ladders. These are a piece of equipment used in the conditioning of the athletes of many different sports, with each sport having their own specific drills. It is no different with boxing, where footwork is really important. Speed ladders improve coordination, quickness, and agility. There are many boxing specific drills that can be done with a speed ladder. Lastly are the sparring equipments. Sparring is a unique time in a boxer's training. Boxers live by the old adage, practice makes perfect, and sparring is, in essence, a practice fight. That being said, Boxers, like any athlete, don't want to be injured during practice, and as such, they use extra protective equipment when sparring. Here is a list of equipment that boxers use while. First one is the 16-ounce gloves. These are the best and most common size used in sparring. They are a little heavier than the gloves used in actual boxing fights, but because in sparring the goal is not to hurt the partner, the extra padding is needed. If you plan to do some sparring when practicing boxing, 16-ounce gloves are a must-have. These look just like any other pair of boxing gloves and are made from the same material. Second is body protector. A body protector is a padded vest used by the boxer's partner during sparring or during a drill. It covers the stomach area, the low chest area, and the sides of the upper body, the main target points in the body during a match. By training with someone wearing a body protector, the boxer is able to practice and improve body shots while not hurting the partner. The equipment has a soft padding and a lot of it. Third is groin protector or groin guard. This is a padded piece of equipment that protects the groin area of boxers, coaches, or sparring partners. While by the rules the groin area cannot be hit in boxing, accidents do happen, and so protecting an area as sensitive as the groin is important when sparring. Next, the boxing hand wrap. Hand wraps are very necessary during sparring or a practice that involves punching. They prevent hand and wrist injuries. While boxers may choose to use gauze and tape to wrap their hands in matches, it would require a lot of it to do it at every practice, and so buying hand cloth wraps may be the cheapest and most efficient way to do it. Last but not the least, the head protector. It is a padded helmet that serves to protect the head of whoever wears it during sparring. The head is the main punching area in the boxing, and so it is important to have something minimizing the impact in that area when sparring.
The basic skills to be developed in boxing. So, what are the basic skills of boxing? The basic skills of boxing includes the boxer stance, the jab, the cross, the hook, and the uppercut punches. Successful boxers are able to employ a combination of skilled footwork and punches together in close synchronization. To start practicing the proper boxer stance, first is to lead the shoulder opposite of your punching hand. Second, feet should be positioned shoulder width apart. Third, position feet at 45-degree angle towards your intended target. Fourth, keep your knees and hips bent slightly. Fifth, place elbows close to your sides and use your forearms to shield the chest. Sixth, keep the glove at shoulder height. And lastly, position the right glove underneath the chin with the rest turned inwards. So, there are four main punches that build the foundation of boxing, including the jab. It is a quick punch that is used by the forward moving arm. Right-handed boxers use the left arm to jab and vice versa. The cross, a straight punch thrown by the near arm. Right-handed boxers use the right arm and vice versa. The hook, a short side punch thrown at a 90-degree angle. These types of punches can be thrown with either arm. The uppercut, a short upward punch thrown to the body with either arm. The basic boxing footwork. Beginners absolutely need to master the step, drag, and five-foot maneuvers. This type of movement may seem difficult at first because many people have a habit of always jumping off the ground. In boxing, you want to keep your feet down on the ground so you're always ready to attack, defend, or move away. Also, jumping around is a huge waste of energy. The flashy footwork will come naturally once you develop better conditioning and technique. The basic step drag. Step with the lead foot and drag the rear foot. This stepping and dragging boxing footwork technique ensures that your weight is grounded and always ready to attack or defend. It also prevents you from walking or crossing your feet, which can you fall off balance. To go forward or left, step with your left foot first and then drag the right foot after. To go backward or right, Step with your right foot first and then drag the left foot after. The rules of boxing. The rules of boxing vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction and on whether it is an amateur or professional bout. A violation of the following rules is considered a foul and can result in a warning, point deduction, or disqualification by the referee. The following are: you cannot hit below the belt, hold, tip, kick, headbutt, wrestle, bite, spit on, or push your opponent. You cannot hit with your head, shoulder, forearm, or elbow. You cannot hit with an open glove, the inside of the glove, the wrist, the backhand, or the side of the hand. You cannot punch your opponent's back or the back of his head or neck. You can't hold your opponent and hit him at the same time or duck so low that your head is below your opponent's belt line. When the referee breaks you from a clinch, you have to take a full step back. You cannot immediately hit your opponent. That's called hitting on the brick and is illegal. You cannot spat out your mouthpiece on purpose to get a rest. If you score a knockdown of your opponent, you must go to the farthest neutral corner while the referee makes the count. If you floor your opponent, you cannot hit him when he's on the canvas. A floored boxer has up to 10 seconds to get back up on his feet before losing the bout by knockout. A boxer who is knocked down cannot be saved by the bell in any round, depending upon the local jurisdiction's rules. A boxer who is hit with an accidental low blow has up to 5 minutes to recover. If he or she cannot continue after 5 minutes, he or she is considered knocked out. If the foul results in an injury that causes the fight to end immediately, the boxer who committed the foul is disqualified. If the foul causes an injury but the bout continues, the referee orders the judges to deduct 2 points from the boxer who caused the injury. If a boxer is knocked out of the ring, he gets a count of 20 to get back in and on his feet. He cannot be assisted. In some jurisdictions, the standing 8 count or the 3 knockdown rule also may be in effect. In other jurisdictions, only the referee can stop the bout.